Good. So, Ellie, welcome to Talent Matters
Thank you.
podcast. It's a pleasure to have you on. How you doing?
Yeah, I'm alright, thank
Good.
you. How are you?
Yeah, I'm all right. Yeah, not bad. It's a nice day, isn't it? So
It's beautiful, yeah, not just sunshine, pure sunshine.
it's coming. It's coming. So, Ellie from Savvy Recruitment, you're the MD.
Yeah.
I'm probably not going to do a very good job of like introing you and Savvy and who you are.
Yeah.
Well, I've tried to do it, haven't I? But do you want to just like do a little? I'm Ellie from Savvy.
Yeah, sure. I'm
If
Ellie
you
from
want.
Savvy.
That's it. Right, next question.
There we go. I've been at Savvy for 8 years now, on and off. So
Yeah.
had some breaks out. After about a year and a half, I really thought I had left. I actually left to the song that I Try by Macy Gray, like really dramatically left. Sort of they knew I was going to leave. It wasn't just one day I got fed up. But
It wasn't
and
like
then,
a Jerry Maguire moment where you're taking a goldfish.
I'm
Yeah. Who's with me?
No, luckily they had me back a few times. Ollie and Ben, who ran it, Ollie now runs it, have just been really good to me, to be honest.
Yeah.
And have like supported my like other dreams. So I'm also a trained therapist.
Yes, we're
and,
going to get into that, aren't we? Yeah.
a therapist on Tuesdays.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, strictly.
So, is it too soon to kind of talk about, why you left and then why you came back?
No, of course. I think the thing that I've always really loved about Savvy is like being able to be really honest.
Yeah.
I started off in sort of like HR, internal talent, and then Savvy approached me. Actually, they were my recruitment agency, and I just got on really well with them.
Yeah.
And they saw my CV online.
Yeah.
They were like, so you might be looking. And all I honestly wanted to do as a 22-year-old, was it 22? Yeah, was make money to go travelling.
Yeah.
That is all I wanted. It was my only goal. And I told them that, and they were like, well, recruitment is a good place to make money and to fulfill those dreams. So I sort of started the job with them knowing that I was going to leave it, which actually was incredibly nice. Like,
Yes.
I feel like it just started on this honest, we're all kind of sort of know why I'm here sort of perspective. But I loved the company, and I enjoyed recruitment. I think I didn't really know what I wanted to do at that point. I just knew that I wanted to go travelling. So I saved enough money in like a year and a half.
So at this point, you were just you'd gone in as a recruitment
Just
consultant.
literally, sort of like one of the most, I think I was the most junior recruitment consultants. I had worked in a media agency, so they became my client.
Yeah.
And then I sort of had a few others. I kind of specialised in out-of-home media to start with. And then, I went travelling. And then whilst I was travelling, I've always wanted to be a therapist. Like, since I was 17, that was my dream. But I just wanted a little bit more life experience, and I wanted to go travelling. And I honestly didn't have the confidence.
Where did you go travelling?
I did a year, so I did 5 months in India. So
Yeah.
it was all solo. 5 months in India, did all of like, I never got a gap year, so I did the proper gap. Backpacking kind of.
I'm still
Vietnam.
waiting for my gap year. Actually.
Yeah, I know. You need to do it.
Yeah.
It's never too late. Vietnam, Cambodia, Laos, Myanmar, Sri Lanka,
Oh,
all over Bali for a month.
Yeah.
Yeah, I spent about a month in Bali straight after recruitment. I was like, I need to lie down.
Yeah,
So I worked really hard to make the money.
Yeah.
Then was like, I am tired. But that was amazing. It was well worth it. And I think actually, and Ollie has always said this, like I came back more confident. I came back better at recruitment because I'd had that life experience.
Yes, yeah.
Because honestly, I think when I started, I wasn't amazing at recruitment. I think everyone would say that. Like I was all right at it, but I didn't have that confidence. Like being on the phone actually was quite anxiety inducing for me.
Yes, yeah.
So I think going out and just getting a bit more life experience and becoming a bit more myself was
And
really
knowing
important.
a bit more about people and the way people are, and having
and
a
just
bit more
talking to
perspective.
strangers, 'cause
Yeah.
that's a big part of what we do,
Recruitment,
right?
isn't it? Yeah.
So I think that was important. And then I just was like, I actually want to be a therapist like now. That's what I want to do. But obviously needed quite a lot of money to make that happen.
Yeah.
So then that's the period where I was sort of like an antique dealer and working in the shop and all the strange jobs. And then I had a chat with Savvy and they were like, yeah, you can work part-time. So I worked 4 days a week. And then my course was on Friday. So I went from sort of Thursday evenings and Friday I was doing my course. And then eventually I'd have patients in the evening as well. So I really
And therapist in what? What's the actual?
Yeah. So I trained as a psychodynamic therapist.
Yeah.
Which
Definitely gonna
is,
have to explain.
No, that's fine. I do to everyone. I don't think I've ever said that. And someone's like, oh yeah. It's sort of based on the findings of Freud. So it's sort of like one of the most old school therapies. I wouldn't say I practice in a similar way, but the sort of philosophies around the unconscious mind, unconscious communication, and just sort of spotting patterns in behaviour are definitely something that I still kind of like believe in and practice. But there's I believe in quite like a blank face therapist, so you're not that like human in the room.
Yeah.
That's just not who I am. I couldn't do that. So
Yeah.
it was quite a good training to have to like strip everything back. And now I'm quite different, I would say, in my own sort of private practice.
Yeah. So you do it. So you were training that on a Friday.
Yeah, Thursday night and Fridays.
And then working 4 days a week.
Yeah, and then they give you patients really quickly. So I had 3 patients on a Monday and Tuesday evening. So it was tiring.
Wow. And you're still doing that now?
Yeah, so I qualified. So this kind of all happened like around COVID as well.
Yeah.
So then, so I was doing that 4 days a week, and then COVID happened. Obviously, recruitment was not doing great.
Fell away.
I was furloughed, which was honestly delightful. Ollie hates it when I say that because he didn't get furloughed, because obviously he runs it's his
There's
company.
quite a big divide between those
really
that were furloughed and those that weren't. Yeah.
And then obviously like did have to be made redundant while we were building back the company, I suppose. And then once things got a bit better, then they brought me back on a couple of days a week. And then when I finished my course, they asked if I wanted to sort of help run the company.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how it happened. And I did. I just came back, ran the company, had patients in the evening. And then, kind of got to the point where I was like, I want to do both. I can't sacrifice therapy. That is like my big passion. It's what I love.
Yeah.
And I don't want to sacrifice recruitment because I really love Savvy. I love the team. I honestly just couldn't. I just don't want to leave them.
Yeah.
And I feel like we've got a lot more to do. I want us to get to a point where I think we could be. And honestly, the money's nice.
So we were talking a little bit before we started recording about Savvy and the way in which you're open with the employees around earning some money, and this is what you need to try and achieve to do that. And that's almost from what you said when you said, I want to go in there when you joined Savvy to raise enough money to go travelling.
Yeah.
So let's maybe just talk about that, like that level of honesty when you've got people coming into the company with a clear view of, like, if you want to earn X amount, or you want to go travelling, or you want to buy a house, this is what we do, rather than maybe trying to sell on all the fluff and the goodness in the world that you're doing.
I think that the philosophy we have towards it is that recruitment can help you sort of achieve your dreams, and not from a like recruitment is your dream perspective. I think we don't expect everyone to turn up and be purely passionate about recruitment. Like, I think that recruitment is, I think there's so many ways in which it is a great job. I think it's a hard job. I think it's harder than people think it is.
Yes, yeah.
Not necessarily from a sort of like intellectual perspective, although there is an aspect of that, more from a drive and like perseverance and sort of like having to juggle a million things at once. It is hard, but I think it has the ability to really do what it did for me, which was it's helped me go traveling for a year and become a therapist. Like, if I hadn't had this job, I actually don't know how I would have got that. So I think that's what I kind of lead with when we interview people, we're quite honest about that. And then when at the beginning of the year we kind of do goals, so we'll do sort of like, what are your goals at Savvy? Like, where do you want to get to? And what do you want to do with the money that hopefully those goals will like sort of give you? So then that is always deeply personal. It could be buying a house, or someone's going to get married next year, or whatever it is. And then we actually like reward those goals financially at the end of the year. It's just like an extra little motivation, but I think it also allows us to understand our employees a little bit better. Like, what are they motivated by? Because for some people it is, if there's someone who loves traveling, how do we make sure that they have a little bit more space to go traveling? Or whatever it could be. So I think it's just about being really honest and allowing space for the frustrations around recruitment as well. Being able to be like, oh my god, I've had such a bad day, like everything has gone wrong. to not have this philosophy of like no negativity, like you have to look like you're enjoying it all the time.
Smile while you dial all
Yeah.
the time. Yeah, all that, yeah.
We're just not.
This is a
like
perfect
that.
job. I'm having a perfect life.
You're lucky to have this job.
Yes,
That kind of philosophy. Like, I do feel lucky to have this job, but not from the perspective of it's the best dream job in the world. Like, there are bits of it that are really tough. But when I'm doing those tough bits, the things that get me through are what I can achieve with that money that it's going to make.
It's the vehicle to give you what you actually want you to do. But also, I think there's a bit of I don't think a dream job really exists, or even in your dream job you still have bad days. You're still going to have days where you get up and you don't want to go to work, that you don't want to do your dream job that day. And I think being open to the fact that some days it's going to be really difficult, because I think maybe in the last few years there's been quite a big kind of employer brand push that you're going to come here and you're going to achieve all your dreams and it's going to be the perfect job because you get everything that you want, so you'll never therefore be unhappy, which is it's a huge amount of pressure to put on you, because you go into this job where you've got the ping pong tables and the fully stocked beer fridge, and you've got cappuccinos on tap and all this sort of stuff, and then you have a bad day and you go home and go, oh, that was really tough, but it shouldn't be, because everything is so wonderful and it creates this pressure in your mind. Whereas I think allowing your employees to
sort of outwardly have a bad day,
to vent their frustration,
definitely
probably helps, really helps, and that it's not just them if they've had a bad day.
We talk about it a lot. I talk about it a lot in therapy, like this sort of 100% happiness you can't achieve that. That's never going to happen. Like, you will have days where you feel a bit sad, or you feel a bit tired, or you feel a bit off, or just like the weight of the world seems a bit heavy. Like, that's inevitable. It's about how you're able to like deal and process and move forward with those things, and talking to other people is a huge part of that. Being able to talk about it at work is really, really important. Like therapy is my dream job. I love it so much. Like, I get so much energy from it. I'm so passionate about it. But even in that job, some days I feel like I'm not quite connecting, or I'm quite tired, or like it's just not quite working, and I finish the day not being like, oh my god, I love this. I finish the day being like, oh my god, I'm so tired. I need to go and lie down. Am I a good therapist? Like all those questions. I think it's striving for 100% happiness it's just gonna make you unhappy.
It's a path to unhappiness, isn't it? Yeah, it's deep. So do you sit on the side? There's lots of talk of recruitment. Is it sales? Is it marketing? Is it not sales? It seems to me, without putting words in your mouth, you would sit on. It's a sales job.
I think it's a sales job in that you have to make a lot of calls. Like, there's the churn, the like amount you have to do. I mean, we were kind of talking about this before. It's not a job where you're ever done. There's not a here's an X amount of tasks to do and then you go home and job done. Like, you are never done. There is always more to do. And I think most people in recruitment would say this at the moment, like, business development couldn't feel more salesy, especially right now. The sort of like competitive nature of it, having to compete against other people, having to make a lot of phone calls, the rejection. I think it's hard to not see that as sales. Having said that, I feel like it is one of the only jobs, and I say one of the only jobs, but I struggle to think of many others. One of the only jobs where it's one of those sales jobs where you can actively like change people's lives. I know that sounds really dramatic, but those moments where you've got someone a 5-10 grand pay rise in their dream job in their dream company, like that, you can help that happen. By understanding someone's needs, by having the relationship with the client, by negotiating, by giving them a good pep talk before an interview, by helping them prep. Like, you have the sort of ability to help them make powerful change in their lives. And I take it really seriously in that regard, I think, and I like really encourage like the people that work at Savvy to do that as well. As a therapist, you see the impact. It's like a bad job, or like just a mismatched job, I guess. The thing is, bad job, it's just a wrong match. You see the impact that can have on someone's mental health. I don't want to have a part to do with that in like a negative way. Like, that really is my worst nightmare. And obviously sometimes it does happen. There's only so much you can do as a recruiter. You're not, you only know what about the company, what you have gathered, and you know about the person, what you have gathered, and you can be completely honest, and yet still they can turn up and be like, it's not what I thought it was going to be. I wish that didn't happen, but it is going to happen. but you can make sure that you have no part in it sort of going honestly, like, never lying is really important. I know that sounds bad, but I think it's partly why recruiters get a bit of a bad reputation, is because of the importance of what you're selling.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I think it's also, I don't think it's black and white when it comes to is it a sales job or is it not, because elements of it are, as you've said, the BD side of it are, but the rest of it, when you're talking to candidates, you're prepping candidates, that's not sales, that's not sales. That's a very different job that you're doing, and maybe you're trying to encourage or help that candidate have the confidence to be able to go and nail the interview, or then you're negotiating from a salary perspective, or all these things.
Definitely.
So I think there's an element of sales in every single job that that you do. So I really don't think it's one way or the other.
Yeah.
I've got to come back to the antiques before we forget about it and move on. Like what's all that
about? COVID, obviously, I had less. I didn't have a recruitment job, and I just decided to. Me and my mum has always been really into antiques. My granny was always into her antiques.
Yeah.
And it was honestly just a dream of my mum's, and I thought it would be fun. And it was fun. It was really fun for the first couple of years. It was really hard. Basically, she would go and buy the things in sort of sheds in Devon.
Yeah.
And then it was mostly mid-century furniture and just like sort of knickknacks and lights and stuff. And then I would sell them at markets in London.
Yeah, wow.
At one period, I was cycling around on a bicycle with a little trailer behind me selling antiques, which was pretty much as silly as it got.
That's sales, isn't it? So there you go.
Yeah.
Markets
really salesy, and really hard. That was still to this day say it's like the hardest day's work I've ever done.
Yeah.
And I've done a lot of weird jobs.
Yeah.
But it was sort of picking up the van at 5 a.m. and then unpacking it and then taking the van back and then doing 10 days of selling antiques and then doing the same at the end. So it was about 6 a.m. till 10 p.m. And sometimes you'd make money and sometimes you would lose money.
Yeah.
It's devastating. So I did that for a while until we started it just before COVID, and then just as COVID hit, it got really popular and really oversaturated.
Yeah. And
just a lot harder to make any money. So.
And there's things like that. I don't think there's anything more like exhilarating. Well, there clearly are, but like it's exciting when you're selling something at a market. That I'm not trying to draw comparisons to the very few car boot sales I've done over the years.
It's pretty comparable to me.
But it's really good when someone comes on and says, okay, yeah, I'll buy that, and they give you a £5 or whatever it is. That exchange is quite it's quite traditional, old-fashioned way of doing business. But in a way, it's similar but very different from a recruitment, from a business setting whereby you'd send an invoice and then they'll pay it, whenever they decide to pay it.
Exactly.
The whole kind of this for that is quite it's quite
the speed of it is nice. They're like when it's done, it's done. You don't have to worry about it.
Yes.
And that is different to recruitment, right? It takes ages, and then even when it's done, I always say I know that someone's really become a recruiter when they do a deal, and they're like, yeah, well, we'll see. You're like, I'm so sorry you're there, but we will see.
No, so, it's that kind of.
It's a bit more. You're dealing with smaller sums of money, obviously, but the speed of it is more satisfying. And I think the weight of what you're selling is less stressful. I do feel like that about it. I really want someone to be happy in a job.
Yeah.
And I think that is what I would say. I'm sure hopefully other recruiters feel the same. But I think that is one of the things that I feel is quite different about Savvy, is that that is first and foremost. How do we build teams of happy people? How do we make sure that the hiring manager who has asked us to find someone is happy with the person that they got? It does make a difference to your happiness if there is a good team fit.
Yeah.
If you've placed one person in that team and the hiring manager, and then they ask you to place another person, great. I know that those personalities are I know this person can fit in well there. So I think that sort of really human element is kind of where we focus on, and the longevity of that. The whole sort of candidates become clients, but
Yeah.
like not in a transactional way, in a like relationships are important, and you know these things come back around. If you focus on that as the main thing, I kind of do believe everything else will fall into place.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think the human element is really
Yeah.
important, and perhaps that's maybe why some of the more traditional bigger agencies have
Yeah.
maybe suffered a little bit of late, because it's become quite a transactional process between
Yeah.
we're using a big firm and we're pumping lots of people in to this other big client, that the actual human element isn't there. Whereas I think with a lot of smaller agencies, like you said, you get to know the hiring manager, and then you know what they like, the type of personality that they want, more about that company because you're spending more time with them. And I think there's real value in that. I do think there's still some change that needs to happen of the hiring manager's view of what
Massively.
recruitment brings. And I think traditionally or historically the view is it's a transaction. Get me 5 CVs. And they must have these skills on. Just get them for me.
Mm-hmm.
I don't need to give you any more information. This is what I want. Versus really understanding the company, the good, the bad, the ugly, and all of those things. But I still think we're on that process to try and convince the hiring managers that it's not a case of just give me 5 CVs. But I don't know how far along that kind of journey we are.
It's an interesting one, isn't it? Because I think maybe this, I don't know, I still think it's the same. I think a lot of that is because of how people view recruitment agencies. And I think that they do see recruiters, like before I've been, in recruitment for 8 years, and I'll be at the pub with friends and people will like recruiters as a topic will come up because someone's like looking for a job, and it is a wholly negative view of recruiters. And I've always found it really fascinating because I know that I'm sat there really doing my best to try and get somebody a pay rise and like a job that they actually love, and sort of like, why is that? And I think the only other industry where I feel like they have that sort of like bad reputation is estate agents. And the only correlation,
the two get bandied together, don't they?
But the only correlation between those two things are like they're two of the biggest decisions you'll ever make in your life. Buying a house or getting a new job are two things that are gonna make or break your happiness. That's obviously a simplification, but I think there probably are recruiters out there who haven't understood like that importance and are saying to people, oh no, it's a great job, the culture's amazing, like you won't have to make that many calls, it's really easy to make money. Whereas actually like it's a company where you can make lots of money if you work really, really hard, where it is like does have a slight call centre-y feel about it. That job is right for someone, but it's not right for the person you're saying, oh no, they want good culture, I'll just tell them it's good culture. Do you know what I mean? So I think that's where it's coming from, and I think unfortunately the people that were hearing that at like 25 when they were first getting their first job are now 40-year-old hiring managers, and they're just, I had a bad experience with a recruiter once, so now they don't see like the value in it. And as you said, there is so much value in it. Like we're saving time, we're finding like the very best people you could possibly find. Everyone can get applications, but then you have to sift through hundreds of applications which no hiring manager has time for, and they don't have they're not recruiters. They don't have the recruitment skills to interview those people, to understand exactly what they need, to do that first vetting process before it comes to them. So I think the value is kind of like endless, but it's more about perception.
And I think there's no better way to kind of smash some of that perception is when you say, like, not in this aggressive sort of term, but like, okay, you go and do it. Go and find that person. And I think sometimes it comes from, well, you just send over a CV and you charge us 10 grand. And it's, well, and I'm not a recruiter, so the number of times of which you just spec over a CV, then suddenly by magic, whoosh, they've got an offer, and by magic you've just charged them a 10 grand fee or whatever. I feels very few and far between.
It's just hours of endless unpaid work is the reality. Like, that most of the work that you're doing isn't going to amount to anything. Obviously, like, that's why you have more clients and try and keep them in the same realm so you can send CVs to different people ideally. But it's Nobody sees that. And I think that people think it's a really easy job. I think everyone thinks it's quite an easy job, hiring managers, but also like a lot of people that I interview for Savvy, I think it's a quick way to make money.
Yeah.
And it just isn't. It's really actually quite hard. It's quite hard to make money, and it's quite hard to be good at it, and the day-to-day can be quite tough. Again, if you do it well, the rewards are there, like, and especially like we really do motivate people like that at Savvy. But yeah, what were we talking about?
Well, actually, talking about like, you know, doing a lot of the unpaid work, I know.
Gotcha.
Paul Sharp, North Star people. I think it's 80%, 85% of what he says is you're working for free.
We heard that stat at the wave thing.
Yes.
And my colleague just turned to me and was like, I knew it was bad.
Yeah, you know,
bad.
so
yeah.
You know, that is, you know, a lot of that, you know, some, you know, needs to be kind of covered. But
you hire that, like, understandably, an agency is only going to want to pay a recruiter a fee if you found them someone better than they could find themselves. But we know that we can do that. That's why it's still sort of, you know, that's why we still exist, right?
The other thing I think is really interesting is when you do say, right, okay, you know, you'll go and find someone, you know, okay, great, I'll put an ad out on, you know, various job boards or wherever it is, and you get all the applications in, and you get 50 applications. You know, at the minute, you know, we're seeing huge numbers of volume of applications coming in for most jobs.
Yeah.
You know, you sit there as the hiring manager and go, right, great, going to find these. And you're like, I've got to look through 50 people.
Yeah. And
then you look through them all, and by the time you get to the 50th, you're like, yeah, maybe that fee's worth it, because the time that's spent is a long time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Plus the fact the second candidate that you looked at, that you put in the, you know, to contact, you phone them up or email them, and they I've got another job now. And you're like, right, okay, now I'm starting to see where this challenge is coming from. It's not just, you know, I only ever see the CVs that land on my desk that I'm thinking, from a recruiter that I could have found on LinkedIn myself. Well, you go ahead and try and do it.
Yeah.
But what you'll get back in saving the fee, you'll use up in time.
Yeah, like time is money, right? And I think there's not enough sort of respect of that for hiring managers' time. Like, I actually do feel a bit sorry for the ones that are like, go and find someone. It's not their job. They didn't sign up to do that as a job, and now they're having to do it. It can be, I think, quite an enjoyable process if you work with a recruiter. If you work with a recruiter who's not heavily KPI'd, and I think that is something that's important about us. If we don't talk to anyone that's good, we will send you a message being like, I'm really sorry, I haven't spoken to anyone who's like of value, still looking, hopefully there'll be someone tomorrow, you know.
Yeah.
But like, if there's 3 amazing people, we will send you 3 amazing people. If there's 6 amazing people, we will send you 6 amazing people, and then we'll probably pause and let you see how those go. You know, like, at front of mind is always, how do we save them time? Because that's the whole point of us.
Yes.
The point of us is not to cost you time. Like, then, you know, as we've just said, time is money.
Yes. Yeah.
So I think keeping that just always front of mind is really important.
How I mean, we said that recruitment is a tough job, and I think it is. It seems as though right now most people I'm talking to are you know, saying that this is a super tough time. You know, even harder than usual. So, you know, are you guys, you know, feeling that? You know, some people I've talked to have said it's been harder than COVID, where we're at, and it could have sort of shrouded in a little bit of you know, no one's really talking about, you know, where's COVID? Everyone's like, oh my God, you know, everyone's got to go home, work from home, furloughs, whatever. Market's dreadful. Economies are crashing all over the place. You know, everything's sort of like limping along. But from a recruitment perspective, we've seen jobs drop significantly. So, you know, how are you finding it at the minute? And, you know, what are you doing to try and combat that difficult time?
I think it is really tough. I mean, nothing will be tougher than COVID for us, because we're sort of media, everything's shut down. There's no, you know, no one's hiring for an advertising exec or a salesperson in COVID. They just weren't really. So that, I mean, I wasn't there for most of it because I was furloughed, just to say again. But I think it is really tough. Last quarter was really tough for us, end of last year, and I think everyone is finding that. This quarter's been really up and down. We've got the jobs. Like, we have the jobs, we have the people. it's really competitive. It's really fast paced. Like if you're not onto someone like quite quickly, then someone else has spoken to them. So no, it is tough. I think what we're trying to do at the moment, obviously we want to grow and we want to make more money, and to do that we're really focusing on like efficiency. I think the things that people are not loving about their jobs in terms of recruitment within our company is like the level of admin. As you said, a huge number of applications, more applications than we've ever seen.
Yeah.
And I think that's so time consuming, and time is valuable. So how do you minimize the time you're spending on that so that you can then go and actively look for people who are definitely perfect instead of sifting through CVs that are not right for the job? And I think it's tech, right? So trying to learn more about tech. I thought I could honestly become some sort of AI wizard, and now I'm realizing I might have to seek support for that. But basically, optimizing all our processes so that we have more time to do more of the outreach, so that we're basically functioning as a small team and getting more done. I actually we love the people we work with. I think we couldn't have a better team. I would want to make their jobs more enjoyable and make them more efficient at their jobs so they make more money. Whilst keeping the sort of backbone of Savvy, keeping that like honesty and integrity and like the fun and all of that still very much there. So I think it's just tightening everything. I think there is still a place for recruitment agencies. I like, you know, we, as I said, have the clients, we have the candidates. If we can tighten everything up and make ourselves better at what we're doing, that should make us more money. And also what we're talking about today, which is like trying to sort of make people understand why they should use us in a sort of like really human way. Like, this is a service that I think is really needed, and I would love to be having more conversations with clients around how we can do that. We have a very flexible approach to how we work with clients. You know, if it's like a subscription model, they might only need like 1 this month but 3 next month. Okay, well, let's help you with your cash flow and let's split it up over a certain amount of months. Like, we're very open to doing that with people. But it's just getting those conversations that's the hardest bit. It's opening them up.
And I think, you know, it's trying to get to dispel that myth, isn't it? That you're just here to try and sell me something.
8 years later, I'm still
doing
that.
it. And I think maybe in 8 years' time, you still will be. You know, because there is that idea that, you know, I could maybe find this person myself. And I think that's the fear that hiring managers have, that I've already got this person, or I've already you know, engaged with them, or I could find them on LinkedIn if I just put a LinkedIn message out saying I'm looking for an advertising sales manager, and someone will miraculously come, and then occasionally they do. And it's that kind of fear. But the challenge is, you've got 2 moving parts all the time, haven't you? And this is where I always think it's very different from if you're selling photocopiers or whatever, you know, the or a car, you know, whatever it is, it's static. You know, it has the features that it's got. It doesn't change. Whereas people change all the time, don't they? So one minute they're decided, yes, I'm definitely leaving my job. I'm going to go to the job offer that I've got. And then they think about it, and then maybe they decide they're not going to do it, or maybe they don't have the confidence to step into a new company. All these things.
I mean, endless amounts of reasons.
All these things. You know, a car or a photocopy, it doesn't refuse to be sold. You know, if
but there's, you know, you're also in like a product sales situation, things are selling in the background. You know, you do everything you can. Obviously, if you want to sell more printers or whatever it is, you have to pick up the phone. But you know, someone will go online and buy a printer. There is that everything is so manual in recruitment. You have to send that message to open up that conversation, to then do all of the processes from there. And there's so many processes from there, but you have to be really hands-on with that. Obviously, tech is really helping, being able to do like double the amount of that. But yeah, it's really, really hands-on, which makes it really hard.
I suppose the good thing is that the personal touch of that, you know, it's that fine line you said about trying to do more with tech and with, you know, automations and things like that, trying to make more things happen. You can't go too far one way, because then it becomes transactional.
Exactly.
So you've got to try and keep the personal touch, the human touch, but then have all the processes working in the background.
I think I think that's why we want to use tech for the admin side of things, so that our consultants have more time for those conversations, so that they can be on the phone to them for a little bit longer if they want to, for a little bit longer, and understand their like needs and figure out like, oh, maybe this could work, and I'll talk to this hiring manager. That's the bit of recruitment that's actually quite fun, and has the value, not the sort of like sending out, manually sending out LinkedIn messages. So we make it so that like the follow-ups are automated, like that. I think makes sense.
Yeah.
That isn't the human element of it anyway, really. The human element is the phone conversations and the meetings and all that stuff, which I do think we need to get back to a little bit.
So what do you've said about with Savvy, you want to try and get it to the place that you believe it can get to. What's that look like? Where are we going to see Savvy going if you have your, like, if you can cheat your dream?
Do you know, I think it's fairly simple. We're not like, we want to be 100 people strong. Like, that's not what we want. I think Ollie and I have always really wanted to be able to make the people that we have more money.
Yeah.
Like, to help them achieve their dreams. I think we need to launch another desk. So I think one more desk, and then potentially grow like a very small amount, another like sort of 2 people.
Mm-hmm.
But genuinely efficient, like make everything more efficient.
How many people have you got at the minute?
There's only 8 of us.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. So make everyone's job more enjoyable and make them more money. That genuinely is my dream and my goal. To hit the number that we want to hit, that's obviously important.
Yeah.
But keeping the human element of that. If we grow to 50 to 100 people, the commission that the people we have, it's going to sort of diminish slightly.
Yes.
And we don't want that. I would rather have like less people doing their work more efficiently and then making more money.
Yeah.
That's kind of what we've always wanted. And that's what everyone in the business wants. And we have these conversations with them. When you guys see Savvy, do you want it to be 50 people strong, or do you want it to be 10 people? What do you want? And they're all like, no, we like our team. We want it to be the same, but obviously we want more money.
Yeah.
So I think, I think sticking to that at the moment, seeing how that goes. I think once you've got a really like tight functioning core, then there are obviously options from there. But for now, for the next like year or so, that's like the focus.
Yeah. That's it's brilliant. It's funny, isn't it? Because I think, or do you think the ambitions of people running agencies is changing or has changed? Because a lot of the time when you speak to someone that's also running a recruitment agency or whatever it is, and they, that maybe they work together or whatever, and they don't see each other at the pub or whatever it is. Normally the first question is, how many people have you got? Yeah. And you'll say, oh, we're up to 25 people now. We're at 30. Oh well, and then they turn away, walk back, and they go, well, we're at 30. Whatever. But of course, more people doesn't relate to more money or more profitability, and it feels a little bit like that's changing a bit.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I only speak to the people I speak to. But
you probably talk to more people than me, to be honest.
But from what you've just said, you're saying, no, we want to be more successful, but we don't have to be 50, 100 people.
Yeah.
Do you think that's the way in which companies should be looking, rather than just grow?
I think it's a really good way of the sort of quality control, like making sure that the quality you're putting out is solid, because everyone is communicating within like the small team and asking each other questions, and like the way me and Ollie work is kind of like trickled down whilst also gaining input. I think that is helpful. I think that what I hear from companies like that are much larger, from people that work there, is that the roles are all a bit spread thin. They don't have enough to work on. And I actually think that like this job is more enjoyable when it's a bit hectic. Like it's a funny thing, I always say, like, it's really important to be able to be efficient, but you're also not really making money until you're kind of so busy that it's hard to keep everything efficient.
Spinning loads of plates.
It's a spinning loads of plates job for sure, but as you said, 85% of your work is unpaid. So if you're working on 4 roles, there's a really good chance that that might not come off, or a lot of your work is unpaid. Whereas if you're working on more roles, then obviously there's more chance of filling it. But I think that's what I've generally heard, is that people that go to these bigger agencies have less chance of success.
Yeah.
So I think that kind of tracks in that, like, you have more chance of success at a company that wants you to win, that wants you to make money.
And there's a better relationship, hopefully, more personable, and you understand, it's the whole ethos behind why you work in a smaller company versus a bigger company.
Yeah.
Right?
You are just less of a cog and more of a like really important person.
Yes.
When there are only 8 of you, every person's really important.
Yes. Yeah. Exactly.
Their happiness is important.
Yeah.
Their like, their lives, what's happening in their lives is really important. Their health is important. Like, how do we support those things so that they can be a sort of better functioning member of staff? And just
getting to 25, 50, 100 people, it's a whole different kettle of fish, isn't it? It's a whole different thing. I guess last question, what would you say to either to your younger self or to if someone else was coming into this industry, what advice would you give them, kind of going on the path that you've been on?
I think this is what I say to anyone that joins Savvy, when I started I had quite a I guess ironically transactional view of what I was doing recruitment for. It was to make the money, to go and travel, so I wasn't thinking super long term. And I think whether or not you end up accidentally being in it for 8 years or not, I think having a longer term point of view is a really valuable thing, because even in a year and a half someone might leave a job in a year and then they might come back to you. So developing those relationships, you might place them 3 times over, or sort of having relationships with hiring managers that might also want you to hire again in 6 months. Having that long-term point of view, your admin even, how do you structure yourself so that your future self knows what your past self was thinking? I think it's really important, because I think when people slightly are just I'm not going to be in it for that long, then they're just their notes are not very good, and then they in 6 months are what did I mean by that? So I think making sure that everything is okay, I'm going to help out my future self, I think is really useful.
I get that on a Monday when I look at my notes from a Friday.
Well, exactly. So. Help yourself. No, it's true.
Brilliant. Well, Ellie, thanks very much for coming on our podcast. Hopefully you've had a nice time. It's been good. So thanks very much.
Thank you. Appreciate it.